All right, welcome everyone. This is Our Travel Experiences. I'm your host, Kyle Rasmussen, and today I have with me Mia, who is Mia on the Map, which is an amazing handle, by the way, on
Thank you.
Instagram. Mia, how are you today?
I'm doing so great. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Yeah, of course. Always excited to to talk with fellow travelers and get to hear your stories. So I'm really excited to hear more today.
Yeah, truly the best way to start a Monday morning is talking travel. So
100%, 100%. Awesome. Well, I've been following your Instagram page for a little while now. You got some amazing content on there. First, I wanted to talk about, you just put up your first YouTube video about
oh
India.
boy. Yeah. Everyone check it out.
Yeah. How was your recent trip to India?
It was incredible. Truly an adventure. I started off the trip solo traveling, which most of my trips I've done have been solo. I just think it's a great way to learn more about yourself and the world around you. And it's, I personally find it easier to make friends when I'm traveling solo.
Oh, for
Um, so, but India is is a different ball game for solo travelers, I think. And I was very lucky beforehand. I had kind of put on my social media if anyone has any contacts in India and got connected with an amazing an amazing person. She's my age. She's from India and invited me to stay with her family for 10 days. And she lives in this remote village, about 3 hours from a city called Shimla. And it's kind of tucked away near the Himalayan mountains and a bunch of like cow farmers and beautiful homes, just like on the mountaintop. It was incredible. So that was honestly the best way to kick off my India trip. And then I joined a group tour with Intrepid for 12 days. I actually won that trip on an Instagram giveaway,
Oh, super.
which yeah, pretty wild. I got lucky last year. I won about 12 giveaways and like
Oh,
my
what?
drone too. I won it in a that was like a contest slash giveaway. So yeah,
Jeez.
I, I know I must have some good energy this year. So
Yeah, did you buy a lottery ticket too? Jeez.
I did. I did. Everybody kept telling me to do it. I haven't won that though. I think
Oh,
maybe
dang.
my winning streak is over, but yeah, India was really incredible. After starting the group trip, it was jam-packed. I mean, Intrepid knows how to do tours, and sustainable travel, which was really amazing to get to see so much in a short period of time, but
Mhm,
also, uh, at the end of the trip, I went south with my friend Candace, who you know, and,
mhm.
another mutual friend, Dimple, who we had never met before, but were connected online with, a travel company called the Nomadic Network, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, they're great. They're such a good community, but we all met up in the South, and I remember thinking like, "Okay, all I wanna do is just do absolutely nothing, just sit on the beach for a good week processing everything because a lot happened."
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I can imagine India just being a total assault on all of your senses, and you probably need a minute to recharge by the end of that.
Truly, yeah, I talked about that in my, YouTube video out there and just yeah, I knew it was gonna be a bit overwhelming at times. I'm the type of person who I think I am what do they call like a highly sensitive person, so if there's a lot of noise or kind of confrontation or any type of, like, people shouting at you or following you, any of that, like that it's just instant overwhelm for me, but I'm a pretty seasoned traveler too, so yeah, aside from having like one breakdown and I was good for the most part.
Yeah. Did you like kind of the mixture of the solo and group travel in India?
It was perfect. Yeah, it was perfect. I the solo trip really made my trip, I don't know, kind of hit home for me. I always
Mhm.
tell people I travel for people. That's what I remember the times that I've spent with locals, learning about the culture directly from people who are living it and who can,
Mhm.
share their life. I think when you can travel halfway across the world and realize, wow, I have more in common with this person than I do with like some people
Yeah.
back home, it's just a great way to break barriers and stereotypes and educate. And so, yeah, starting it off that way was great, and then going to some cities that I personally think would be a little bit tricky to do solo, although many people do it. I was grateful to have the group trip for the places that we visited in Rajasthan and, Delhi. Yeah, that was just it was nice to have that, and great group of people too. So fun when you can connect with people on such a deep level, even when the trip is short, like 12-day trip
Mhm.
is pretty short for me,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I think that's so much fun. I definitely I love the solo travel, for all the reasons that you mentioned. I just think it's very rewarding and you feel the experience more, I think.
exactly.
Uh, but the group travel is so much fun because you get to experience it with all these other people and, make new friends. It's kind of funny actually. I'm leaving tomorrow, from the day that we're recording this to actually go on another group trip with a bunch of people who I went on a different group trip with, and we all became friends
What?
about
That's so
months ago.
fun.
So
Same group of
kind of funny.
people.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah, it's gonna be there will be some new people, but a bunch of us who were on another trip together, we all became friends and are now gonna go on another trip.
Yeah, where are you headed to again? I remember you told me, but I kind of forgot.
Um, I guess I can share it since this will come out after I've been there, but I'm going to Cuba.
Nice. Oh, I can't wait to hear about that.
Yeah, yeah, I'm really excited. Little bit nervous because I have not prepared very well, but
And you leave
uh,
tomorrow.
yeah, we'll see how it goes. Um, but yeah, anyways, it's fun. I think there's good and bad to solo and group travel.
Always. I mean, everything always has those pros and cons, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I was curious. One thing that you mentioned to me beforehand, when we were setting this up, was slow travel, and I know that's in your Instagram bio. So, kind of tell me a little bit about that. What is slow travel?
Yeah, for me, slow travel is being able to go to a place and kind of stay in that same place for a longer period of time versus like maybe you book a ticket for a trip, a week-long trip somewhere and try to hit all the tourist sites. Slow travel is more of you try to get connected with the community, learn a lot about that one place just from staying there. And
Hmm.
so back in the day when I was teaching English, which actually wasn't that long ago, I shifted to teaching online, which was great because I could kind of just like park it in one place for I would normally stay the full length of a tourist visa, which was
Okay.
3 months for
Mhm.
most, for a lot of countries. And it was just, I think slow traveling gives you a really great taste of a country and or the city that you're in because it does give you that time to build deeper relationships and build trust. Um, I remember when I was in Thailand, I was in Chiang Mai for about uh I think I was there for about a month. I spent almost a year in the north, but Chiang Mai was there for a month and I remember I would go to the same street vendor. She would have the best Thai tea and every morning before my classes, I would go over there and I would get some tea and by the end of like week 3 cuz I would go there every day. I probably had a sugar overload doing that, but, it helps build relationships, and that lady, we got to
Uh-huh.
know each other, and, she would invite me to different, things with her family, and, it's just, like, it really adds this special, heartwarming context to travel, and for
Hmm.
me, I grew up, I was adopted as a child and as a baby, and I think for a lot of kids who are adopted, they kind of grow up with this, I'm not gonna say like hole, but it's this feeling of restlessness and, you're just kind of searching for home and meaning in a different way, even and it doesn't matter, like, what your family situation is, like, I love my family, I have a great family, um, but I still had that feeling of wanting to find home and
Mhm.
search for that, and so slow travel really let me see family structures in different countries, and, um, it it just added a lot of meaning to my personal search for home, which is really just found within yourself. I think that's something that
Yeah.
I realized getting older is, your roots are you kind of grow them within yourself. But having those family experiences has really changed me. Like my friend in India staying with her family for 10 days, we all got really emotional when I left, and 10 days is, like, a
Mhm.
pretty short amount of time, but by the end of the trip, I was calling her dad papa, he was calling me his daughter, she was calling me her sister, and I have had experiences like that all over the world. Japan is another place where I have people I consider family, and so it's pretty incredible to know home is what you make it, and you can have it anywhere you build those connections, so,
Mhm.
yeah, that was a long spiel, but yeah, that's one of the reasons why I love solo travel and slow travel because it gives you that chance to find home in different communities and explore what that means for you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I love that aspect of traveling where you make those connections and build those relationships, and really you make, I mean, you make the entire world your home. Uh,
Mhm.
and I think that can be hard sometimes because you have little pieces of you that are spread across the world. Um,
Yeah.
don't quite fit into any one place in particular, but I think it's really rewarding because you can say, you know what, I lived in Thailand and I love, spending time there and I have friends there and everything. And it's just, I don't know. I love that about world travel.
Yeah, because you can always go back to that place and have those people there, like, people make a place,
Mhm.
right? And but you're so right. There's always pieces like anywhere I am, I'm always thinking about people in other places too. And so for me now, I know a lot of friends who are kind of they're the I have and there's nothing wrong with this, but I have friends who are kind of like country counters, and so I've been to like this many countries all over the world, and for me, I end up returning to the same place a lot just to keep building those relationships. I still like to go to new places too, but, uh, when I can go back to visit, like, Thailand, Japan, South Africa, like, I'm gonna do it.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it is also a privilege to get to be able to go to so many places, and I reflected a lot about that when I lived in Thailand because most of my students were grew up in a refugee camp. Most of them are from Burma, Myanmar, and so that ability to travel for me, just like man, they could barely even leave the camp. The only way to get out is mostly through education and getting into a school that give you a little pass that allows you to travel outside of the refugee camp and um, yeah, I always try to use my travel experiences to help bring the world maybe to people who can't
Mhm.
go, and it's the same for, like, being in the US, I mean, it's a little different, but, like, there's a lot of people in the US who I found don't travel very much or don't have a desire to
Yeah.
travel. They say, like, "Oh, I've got everything I need right here." But man, you can just learn so much if you're able to go abroad, like 100%, you should do it because you can learn so, so much. But I try to use my experiences to share about different countries back home. And it really has, I've seen it have an impact just on my family alone, like, um, but yeah, I think it does help break stereotypes and break down that fear that people have of, the other, or what's
Yeah.
different, and people are always scared of things that are different, and I think it's differences should be embraced, and, so I'm glad I get to travel all over and share about that with people, and that's what I hope to do with my YouTube channel too.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think one of the big things that the US is missing is encouraging people to travel abroad and
Mhm.
making it possible for people to do that. I think our country and the world would be a lot better off if every high school senior had the opportunity to go travel abroad for at least a couple weeks
Yeah.
before they go to college or into the workforce or something. I think it would really open people's eyes. I know it did for me.
Yeah,
It changed my life forever going abroad.
especially if you can do it at a young age, you're right, like, it
Mhm.
really does, you realize you can make it a lifestyle or build it more in and into your day-to-day, so
Yeah, and like you said, it breaks down those stereotypes. We only hear a small snippet of other places here, and
Mhm.
it's usually something negative. But that's
Yeah.
not the case. I mean, that's one small instance, but you find when you travel that most people around the world are just trying to be happy and live a good life, and they're actually super nice and friendly.
Yeah, exactly, like, super hospitable. It's that power of a single story, right? Like, the media just shows us one side, and you're right, it's normally negative or kind of obscure. It's not, it may be
Hmm.
true, but it's not the whole story. So, if you can travel, do it to find the whole story.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, so going back to Burma, what was that like? Living there, and then you said you were teaching there.
So, I was I don't really advertise this too much 'cause, um, Burma's a I mean, especially right now, but even,
Yeah.
back in, like, 2018, 2019, still a tricky country to, you just really have to understand what's going on, and I learned a
Hmm.
lot of that from my students. So when I was in Thailand, I was working on the border of Thailand and
Okay.
Burma, and so the border is a river. You can just look over the river and there's Burma. Um, so people did a lot of border hopping. I mean, my students still had family there, and I did get the chance to go to Burma um, twice, and once was for a longer period of time teaching in a an area that has always had a lot of civil war take place in that particular area, and so I went to deliver school supplies and teach, and also taking it, rewinding it back a little bit, because people always ask me like how how did I get connected with this community. Straight out of college, I graduated from school and I went to work in Georgia, the state, in an intentional community, and they hosted a lot of newly arrived people with refugee status. And
Hmm.
there was a period of time where a flood of people, it was everyone came from Burma, and most of them were from the people I was working with, most of them were from the ethnic group of Karen, also known as Ganya. And Burma has like I think it's like 9 main ethnic groups, but a ton of others. And so I I was, it was small town Georgia. I was looking for a room to rent, and one of my adult students said, "Oh, you can rent a room in my house because there's limited apartments." And I said, "Sure, great." And so I lived with a family who grew up in a camp in Burma, or a camp in Thailand, but also a little bit in Burma when they were younger, and really learned a lot about their culture. But getting to know them more, living with them for like 3 years, I mean, they became my family. And um, I wanted to learn more about their experiences, and so I went and found an opportunity to work with that same population, and man, it was life-changing just, seeing how hard so many people are working merely to access education, even in, like,
Mhm.
war zones, I mean, right now, like, bombs going off all the time. The school that I worked at was bombed,
Jeez.
and a lot of people don't know about this because it's I mean, most people heard about the coup recently, and I mean, 2020,
Mhm.
in Myanmar, but Burma has the longest ongoing civil war in the world, and so many people don't know that because it's just not in the news very much, and,
Yeah.
um, so it really changed my perspective seeing kids who super bright, so smart. They grew up in a very isolated area with and I was one of the first foreigners that they've ever met. They don't have access to internet, and yet they were very good at speaking English and would spend their evenings, studying by candlelight.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
it's just it was so moving, and I got very attached to the teachers and students at that school and in Thailand, and, so I've tried to do what I can to spread awareness, and, um, there's an organization called Project CARE, Kare, um, they they send a lot of school supplies to that area and do a lot of fundraising. So if anyone's listening to this and wants to to support, they're a trustworthy organization. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to put the link in the description here.
Yeah,
But
I'll send it to you.
yeah, perfect.
Oh, yeah, I always get kind of I always get a little emotional talking about, Burma and Thailand because it
I
really
was I was getting emotional listening to you. Uh, that
that's
has to be such a rewarding experience for you, but just I mean, I can't imagine how difficult that is to see, what they're going through there.
mhm.
Um, I know that area's had a lot of issues for a long time.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just sad to see, these innocent people that really don't have anything to do with it are, caught in the middle of it.
Right, it's a lot of people who are just, like, wanting to live a peaceful life, and, uh, yeah, I mean, most of them grew up as farmers or have, like or expert oh my gosh, the amount of things I learned about the environment and plants that you can eat and plants that you can use to, like, heal wounds and things like that. I learned so much from my students. They're all young adults, the people that I was working with.
Okay.
Or getting to know and yeah, it's a complicated thing because I think a lot of people who travel to more places that are experiencing more difficult hardships, have an obligation to, um, do your part in trying to listen to the locals and listen to what they're asking for of how you can help, how you can be a helpful presence as a
Mhm.
Westerner, as a foreigner who's witnessing the same things that they're going through, yet have the privilege to leave and go back home, and, so I grapple with that a lot of, "Okay, I'm not doing enough, I should be doing more," but I think the best thing anyone can always do is listen first and show up with curiosity, for
Mhm.
situations like that.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a good life lesson just in general. Just listen and try to understand where the other person's coming from,
Mhm.
their experiences.
Yeah, definitely, and fun fact, Indiana has the largest population of people from Burma outside of Burma. Isn't that wild?
Really?
Yeah, so I'm in
What?
the right state.
Of all the places, I mean, that just seems very random.
I know, it does. I still don't really know why, but
That's funny.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, you kind of explained it a little bit, but with these kind of slow travel experiences that you've had, um, how have you gotten connected with the families you stayed with, and how have you kind of planned these longer trips out?
Ooh, that's one of my favorite questions. Like, how do I connect? How do I meet people? Because I always want others to be able to learn how to do this too. Um, I will say for me, I've always put myself in situations in the US where I know I'll be in surrounded by like international communities. Um,
Hmm.
and I started doing this after I studied abroad in college. I studied abroad in Cape Town, South Africa, and
Oh,
after
super
that,
cool.
it was amazing. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I mean, what an interesting city to learn from. But I worked in the study abroad office afterwards and got to know a lot of the international students and started participating more. And so I always tell people like start in your hometown, or if you don't have like a big international community, just explore a little bit in your own home state and get to know people that way, by going to, I don't know, international supermarkets, maybe seeing if there's volunteer opportunities to welcome in people from other countries. I actually got a job doing that as a relocation specialist. It's been amazing.
No,
Um, but that's one way. Another way is to language exchange or language lessons are that's like one of the top ways I've met people. And I always tell people, like, even if you're not, one, you should learn a little bit of the language, like common
hmm.
courtesy, right? When you're a guest in someone's home, like make an effort to try to speak that
Yeah.
language. But even if like, you're not planning on being fluent or anything, signing up for language apps like HelloTalk, italki, um, those are really great, and I can send you the links for those too.
Yeah, definitely.
Couchsurfing is a great way to do it. Facebook groups. I met my best friend in Japan through a language exchange Facebook group, and uh, we ended up being pen pals, which I know I know it's like kind of outdated now, but we legit sent letters to each other with pictures of our family. And by the time
Wow.
I got to Japan, she was like, you need to come see me, come stay with my family." And she lives in the northern island in Hokkaido. And oh, but I had just the best time. So that's another way you can do it. And I know there's more. This is in my YouTube video too. So everyone go
Okay.
find me on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then how I plan my trips. It's looking a little bit different for me now. I'm about to start a new job, which is full time, and I haven't done that for a while. But for me, I was able to travel and live abroad full time as an English teacher, teaching English as a second language. And in two cases, I worked in a school. So I was just an expat. I was full time working. And then I shifted to finding a remote job teaching online. Then I started my own remote teaching business. And so during that time, I would always pick a place that was affordable for me in the same time zone as my or similar time zone for the students I was teaching, because then I didn't have
Mhm.
to worry about waking up super early or super late like I did
Yeah.
when I moved back to the States. Um, and kind of planning out where I wanted to be my home base in that country for the time being. And yeah, and so normally when I was slow traveling, I would structure my week by having 3 to 4 days where I was working regular hours, and then the rest of the time I would plan trips or just wander around the city, use that as my time to connect with the culture more. That
Mhm.
was my favorite way to structure travel during that time. And now, I am in this situation where I'm trying to save up some more money and launch my own business to help other people travel more, which is really
Oh,
exciting.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm also 30. Am I 30? Am I 31? Oh my god, 31. Oh, how does that happen? I hate that. Okay, I swear I told so many people I was 30. I'm 31. I think being a little bit older and having traveled so much, I now like to have a home base and a place where I always tell this to people, like, I always want a place to keep my stuff, like,
Hmm.
and a
Yeah.
place where I can host people, and so for me, Indianapolis is that home base, and, um I used to really not enjoy growing up in Indiana. It wasn't always known for the best things, and, after being here as an adult and embracing I realized, like, man, this city's changed so much. It's really cool. It
Hmm.
has such a support for, like, creative communities, but, yeah, now I have home base, but I'm gonna have to get into, like, PTO, like, learning how to maximize PTO and plan my trips around that. So that'll be a big change. Once I learn how to maximize travel through that, I'm happy to share about it. But
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, I know you got to get going here soon, but yeah, I mean, with the slow travel, um, I think I don't know. It's interesting because I get what you're saying about the wanting to have a home base now. I definitely feel that a lot,
Mhm,
um, which I think sometimes might stop me from doing a longer term trip just because
mhm.
I do like coming back to that home base and
Yeah.
kind of recharging, getting back to my normal routine, and then heading out again.
Mhm. Yeah, routine is pretty crucial, I realized, 'cause for a long time I was traveling without I didn't really have, a routine, except when I was, like, living in a place, and then it gave me time to do that, but, yeah, I think it is a lot easier to build routine when you're in that you have that home base, and you can always start it when you're traveling, but if you wanna see a bunch of new places, it does change that routine a lot.
Yeah, especially if you're just you only have a couple days or something, like you're just
Yeah.
going all day long and you're not going to get a chance to do what you normally do.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. I'm looking at different opportunities now to work abroad that's, like, slower, but you could still do it with a regular job if you have a remote job, and I just interviewed, someone who did remote year, but you can do it for, like, a month, so that's another good option
Okay.
for
Okay.
people because
Yeah.
they have it so you have, like, a workspace, you have community already, like, everyone who joins that program is, a digital nomad or working on projects. And so it's kind of nice because it is easier to have that routine and that structure in your day to day when you've got
Mhm.
accommodations, community, a lot of that already in place for you.
Yeah, I feel like that would make it easier because you're all trying to do the same thing, so you're gonna have that the infrastructure there. You're like the Wi-Fi is gonna work, kind of
Mhm.
thing.
Right, right.
Um,
Wi-Fi
you're
is
gonna have the resources you need in order to keep up with your job.
mhm.
That's funny. That's cool. I'll have to look into that for sure because that's something that interests me. Um, maybe not a whole year, but like a month. That sounds
Yeah,
really fun.
for sure. Maybe I'll see you in one of the
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
the programs.
If you're doing one, let me know. I'll look into it for
Yeah,
sure.
I will for sure.
That's awesome. Well, I think we can wrap it up here. I definitely want to do a part two sometime soon.
I would love
Hopefully
that.
after some more of our own travels, and then we'll have more experiences to share too.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Awesome. Well, Amita, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time. I love hearing your experiences, and honestly, I can really hear your love and your passion for traveling, and it's fun to experience vicariously through you.
Oh, that means that's, like, the best compliment. Thanks, Kyle. I appreciate it. I love sharing about it. So, honestly, yeah, if anyone has any questions, I I always like to help people as much as I can, so feel free to connect with me
Mhm.
on Instagram, TikTok. I guess I'm on TikTok now. I'm trying that out.
I
YouTube.
haven't got there yet.
Yeah,
Yeah, what are the handles and everything?
it's all Mia on the Map. YouTube, I mean, I just launched, but yeah, you should be able to find me with Mia on the Map as well. And my email is mia@miaonthemap.com. So any long questions, you can drop them in the email.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. Everyone should go check it out. Like I said, I've been following you for a while, so I love your content. I think it's awesome, and it's always fun to see, the travels that you're experiencing.
Thank you. Yep, more to come, always.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. Well, thanks again, Mia, and look forward to seeing you somewhere around the world soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Kyle.
All right, have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey everybody, Kyle here. If you enjoyed today's show and want more, you can always check out every episode on Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, and now Amazon Music as well. Just search for Our Travel Experiences on any of those platforms and it will pop up. You can also find everything all in one place on my website, ourtravelexp.com. And if you want to see my travel pictures as well as travel pictures from guests on the show, you can check them out on Instagram. The page is called Our Travel Experiences Podcast. And if you want to share your own pictures on the Instagram page or be a guest on the podcast, you can message me via that Instagram page or email me at ourtravelexperiences@outlook.com. I would love to see your pictures and hear about your travel experiences, so please send them my way. And if that isn't enough for you, make sure to check out my weekly YouTube show, From Around the World Fridays. Every Friday, I'm taking 5 to 10 minutes to answer questions from listeners, share some souvenirs that I bought over the years, share my postcards over the years that I've accumulated, or share videos and pictures from one particular city or country that I visited, and so much more. So check it out, guys. You won't be disappointed. And make sure you go subscribe to that as well. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you somewhere around the world soon.